But bless the Rijksmuseum. So how would one start setting up rooms? How would one arrange spaces? Well, we mentioned anxiety. I mentioned anxiety before. Anxiety is a very powerful factor in our lives. And I would love a space, a room, a floor, dedicated to some of the most common forms of anxiety. Now, one of the anxieties that we have is that we are going to lose our jobs and lose our status and be ashamed and end up tramp. Anyone got tramp anxiety here? Everyone's got tramp anxiety, right? We're all going to end up a tramp. Well, so I think that we kick off with a room of anxiety with this guy who really did become a tramp, poor man. This is a painting by David called Belisarius Begging for Alms. And he used to be one of the most powerful soldiers and generals in the Emperor Justinian's armies. Then he fell foul of some court politics and ended up begging on the steps of the temple in Rome. And very sad, but it helps to dignify something as a general feature of human life. It happened to Belisarius, and it will in some way happen to you and to me, all of us, because it's written into the script of how life goes. We end up losing status, and if not necessarily begging for alms, doing the status equivalent of this. We end up being looked after by other people, and we end up in a position of weakness. So we're headed for that, and art can, with great grace, induct us towards an essential truth of life. Next to that, I might hang an Ansel Adams, Trees in the Autumn. Beautiful, melancholic scene. We greet our own mortality, and this is in many ways, I think, a photograph about mortality or around which our thoughts on mortality can coalesce quite well. We're all going to die, and to all of us it seems a fiction and not quite fair. Ansel Adams, with great grace, great dignity, shows us that it's written into the script, the leaves will fall and we will die. It is part of the cycle of nature of which we are an ineluctable part, and therefore we must bow down to its demands rather than protest angrily or be frightened or bitter. It is part of the script of life. This is what emanates, for me at least, beautifully from the Ansel Adams. A thing about anxiety is that it's very connected to losing perspective, to not knowing how to place an event, a missed phone call, a betrayal from a friend, within a context that's suitably large enough. We are creatures who lose perspective very easily. It took artists a long time to find perspective, literally, to find how to do perspective, and it takes all of us as adults a long time and great mastery to try and hang on to perspective. It's quite nice when you're looking for perspective to look at a Sugimoto, and this is the Atlantic Ocean, and it's vast, and it makes us feel small in a good and redemptive way. A lot of the life was spent feeling small in a bad way, humiliated. You go to a smart hotel and the guy sort of treats you like nothing, or whatever, and you say, oh, I feel small, that person made me feel small. Everyone's always making us feel small. Well, there are some things that make us feel small in a way which is redemptive because they are so large, and they have within them a kind of sublime quality, which means that our ego is stilled in front of something huge, dignified, and beautiful. One of the greatest artists of the 21st century is the Hubble telescope. And before the news, every day, if I was in charge, I would put the Hubble, one of the feeds from the Hubble telescope. This is what we need before going to the news and before going to many aspects of our life. This is called a globular cluster. It's a little corner of the Milky Way, and just what we need and too often don't have enough of. Another floor, another area of the ideal museum should be, I think, devoted to love, because love is really tricky. So many things go wrong around love. One of the things that goes wrong around love is that we stop being grateful. At the beginning, we're really, really grateful. It's just unbelievable, after lots of courting and dating, etc. Somebody has agreed to, come home with us. Fantastic. And it's a great night. And anyone had that today, yesterday? Anyway, so some hands, yeah. Oh, great. So it's a fantastic moment, but it passes. So I think we need to look at a Pisano. This is Daphnis and Chloe, and he can't believe his luck. She said, yes, let's go for it. That's great. And he can't believe, as she's sleeping, that he is finally in the inner sanctum with someone who he appreciates and wonders at with huge gratitude. That goes. Very important. So I'd start the room with that as a fundamental reminder of the enormous gratitude we owe to anyone who'll put up with us for even a day. Okay. We're tricky. All of us are tricky. And very important.